Hello everyone, how's it going? Dr. Incompetent here, and I'd like to do a complete beginner's guide to Alan Wake Remastered, shall we? So what we're going to do in this guide is start up a brand new game so that you can play along or see if this is the kind of game that you might be interested in. Alan Wake is a fantastic narrative-driven action horror experience. Now, it feels in some ways like a Resident Evil game when you see the gunplay and the over-the-shoulder third-person view, but it's very important to understand that Alan Wake is not Leon or any kind of trained fighter, and you don't get the weapons and firepower that you're looking for, and you need to use your flashlight and light itself to fight even more than you need to use your guns. So what we're going to do in this guide is work through the game together so that I can explain the logic of the game, what you need to do so that you can experience Alan Wake and the fantastic story without too much frustration. I'm not going to spoil anything at all about the game. There's not going to be anything of me revealing any story beyond what we see in the game together. So if you're somebody who's bounced off this game because it was too difficult or you didn't understand it, or maybe you were looking to get it, or maybe you just purchased it, this will be the guide for you. So let's fire it up. Now I'm going to start a new game, and we're going to play on normal difficulty. I think that's just fine. I don't think we need to do easy. However, if you feel like the game is too hard and you just want to experience the really cool story and atmosphere of the game, then just go with easy. We're going to play together on normal difficulty. So I have a checkpoint at the end of the game that I will overwrite yes, because I have cleared the game, and so this will reset it. So we need to all checkpoints will go back to the beginning. So if you have another save file, it will ask you to do this. This is okay if you've manually saved your other game, but we're going to be just starting fresh.
Stephen King once wrote that nightmares exist outside of logic, and there's little fun to be had in explanations. They're antithetical to the poetry of fear. In a horror story, the victim keeps asking why, but there can be no explanation, and there shouldn't be one. The unanswered mystery is what stays with us the longest, and it's what we'll remember in the end. My name is Alan Wake. I'm a writer. I've always had a vivid imagination, but this dream unsettled me. It was wild and dark and weird, even by my standards. So yes, it began with a dream. Following a typical nightmare pattern, I was late, desperately trying to reach my destination, a lighthouse. For some urgent reason, I couldn't remember. I'd been driving too fast down a coastal road to get there. I'd seen the hitchhiker too late. He was dead. I was convinced they'd put me in jail and I would never see Alice again. Suddenly, his body was gone.
All right.
I was in shock from the crash. I could hardly stay on my feet.
Okay, so the game is telling us that we can look up into the light, and it gives you the option to kind of mess with your controls, invert your Y-axis. So we're going to move, obviously, using the left stick and move the camera using the right stick. Very normal controls. Now, you can push in R3 to change which shoulder you're looking over. So I typically like to look this way so that when I'm aiming I'm looking at the right side of the screen as opposed to going across my body to the left of the screen. So you could push R3 to change your perspective at any time, and the game will kind of sometimes automatically do this for you, so you might have to push it again if you need to change it. So right away, as you see in this game, it is a supernatural thriller, horror, adventure, mystery kind of thing. So you're not really sure what is reality and what is not. That's part of the suspense and part of the plot that we're going to uncover. So one thing I will tell you about Alan Wake all the time is that light is your friend and darkness is your enemy. So if you're never sure where to go, head towards the light. So you can walk, and they want to tell you that you can use L1 to sprint. And you can. Now you see how there was, it says checkpoint reached in the upper left, and there was that musical note. Whenever you hear that kind of musical effect, that means you've hit a checkpoint. Checkpoints are extremely important in Alan Wake.
Lighthouse. I knew there was something important waiting for me there.
Okay, and so sometimes he'll tell you, like, hey, you got to do this, and he'll urge you on if you're doing what I'm doing, which is taking too long. And in the upper left, you see there is a quest objective. Now, checkpoints are important because you can die in this game, and when you die, you just reset at the checkpoint. So there will be a lot of times when you might die, you might fall, you might get killed, and you just go back to the checkpoint, and it's no problem. If you need to quit the game, it will typically just return you back to your previous checkpoint, so you kind of look out for these to have a place to kind of save the game within the game. Now also, they tell you that you can use R1 to sprint, but what you want to know about Alan is that he's incredibly out of shape in this game. In Alan Wake's American Nightmare, which is kind of like a sequel or a spin-off of this, he runs a lot better. But here, you're not going to run for a long period of time. He's going to get tired. There is no direct stamina gauge in Alan Wake, so if you're not fighting enemies, you can usually run okay. But if you're fighting enemies, you're going to find that your sprint will run out and you're not going to be very fast, and you want to save it for a burst of speed if you need it as an emergency. Now you see this lamppost right here putting its light onto the ground. I'm going to step into this, and often in the game, these situations where you step directly under a light will trigger a checkpoint. Now this one is not a checkpoint because it just gave me one earlier, but this is a great place to come and to get your game saved at a checkpoint usually. It also refills your health if you step into the light like this, and many enemies cannot come into this light, so it's a safe place. Now I'm going to run over here. See the lighthouse? They want me to go that direction. It's way over there. Now, there is something you should know about Alan Wake, which is that it's replete with secrets. So, I don't know if you could see, but there's a little shining item over here that's not on the way that they want us to go, and if I wander over this way, I will be able to...
collapsed. I'd have to find another way to the lighthouse.
So he does actually explain this, that, we can't go this way, but there's a coffee thermos right here. Coffee thermoses in Alan Wake are collectibles, and they do nothing for you other than are a way to get, like, achievements if you collect all of them. So if you're a person who wants to try to get everything, that would be something that you go for. I like to get them if I can, but often later in the game, it is worth your time to explore, not just for coffee thermoses, but you will also find hidden caches of items that are extremely useful. And it says right here, welcome to Night Springs. So this is where we're heading, maybe, Night Springs. Alan Wake has a feel very much of Twilight Zone, Twin Peaks, X-Files, these kinds of supernatural games. Or, well, those are movies and TV shows. Now look at this. Missing me? Wait a minute now. We certainly are in a nightmare. You see, checkpoint right there. And you could see the cover of one of Alan Wake's books right there called The Sudden Stop. And there's some more missing. Oh boy. Oh my goodness. Look who's back. It's my buddy.
You don't even recognize me, do you, Ryder?
No?
You think you're God?
Okay. So, that is not a passive cutscene. They want you to run. Like, I'm standing there trying to listen to this guy, but he's swinging an axe. So, we died because I didn't start running away from that guy, and that's just going to be the way that the game is. Alan Wake is a game of moments, and in certain moments, the threat emerges, and it's your job as a player to decide, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to fight this guy or these guys? Am I supposed to run away? Am I supposed to do something with the environment? These are puzzles that we need to solve, and if we die, there is nothing lost. We just go back to the checkpoint. So here we are, no big deal. And we go here, and it starts again. All right.
You don't even recognize me, do you, Ryder?
No.
You think you're God? You think you can just make up stuff?
Yes?
Play with people's lives and kill them when you think it adds to the drama? You're in this story now, and I'll make you suffer.
So he's up there, and you see how I reached another checkpoint. Now, I'll just pause it to talk to you for a moment. First of all, I have all subtitles on because I love the story and I want to be able to hear it. Sometimes with the audio, like if you get out of range of that guy when he's talking, because you don't want to get hit by an axe, you might miss some of the dialogue. But if you're interested in the dialogue, I recommend playing with all subtitles on. That's what I'm doing. And this game is very much about getting into the headspace of, it's okay that I die because I can just restart from the checkpoint. It's very frustrating at times, and you might be wondering, what do I need to do? And you just get into the spirit of the fact that you just kind of try, figure it out, and then you can proceed. The game does not usually set you back too far. Some checkpoints are horribly placed, but most of the time it's pretty good. So we're going to go over here, and we can jump with the X button. Now remember, Alan is not very athletic, so our jump is, what you would expect from an average man. You can dodge enemy attacks. So this is one of the main ways to stay alive, is basically to try to time it so that when the axe is about to hit you, you run away and you push sprint at the same time. The game will slow motion.
I realized that the hitchhiker was a character from the story I'd been working on.
Maybe don't write stories about hitchhikers. That's a first step. Anyway, dodging is paramount in this game, and it usually works pretty well. Sometimes it doesn't, but they telegraph their attacks, the enemies do. And if you dodge, usually the game goes into slow motion. You feel really good, and it gives you kind of time to figure out what you want to do next. And you have invincibility frames through the dodge, and it's going to be a key way that we stay alive. Let's go this way. Checkpoint reach. You hear how often there are checkpoints. That's why you just don't worry too much about dying. It doesn't feel great. Alright, and now we gotta run, because the darkness is following us. The light burned out. Keep running. Get to this light right here. It burned out. Keep running. And you see how slow Alan is? This is Alan's run. It's more of a jog. It's not great. Go over here. Go across the bridge. I'm trying. This is Alan. Oh god, the bridge. No, I don't remember Clay Stewart. Okay. So we gotta get in the house.
Oh no! Stop! No! Damn it, die! No! No! No!
Clay? He might not have made it. It's ambiguous.
I was trapped. There was no way out.
Okay. So, when the game says that, find a way out. Okay, the TV is not very helpful right here. Neither is that TV. They have a lot of TVs. Oh, there's many TVs. So, Tom the Poet.
Cabin was a death trap. I had to get out.
Ow. There we go.
Follow the light.
So we made it to the checkpoint.
You should go into the light. You are only safe there.
And they call the light the safe haven. You could focus the camera with L3 right there. And you see my health in the upper left, the red radial by the minimap.
Well done.
That's it.
I have something important to tell you. It goes like this. For he did not know that beyond the lake he called home lies a deeper, darker ocean green, where waves are both wilder and more serene. To its ports I've been. To its ports I've been. Do you understand? No. Follow my light.
So, nothing in this game is by accident.
To teach you, the darkness is dangerous. It's sleeping now. When it feels you coming, it will wake up. There's no time. I can only show you the most important thing.
So, I'm going to pause it just so there's nothing while I talk right here. First of all, nothing in this game is by accident. So you'll notice on the door that I finally was able to escape the cabin from. And by the way, I died, I think, the first time I was there. That door does not become available to be opened until the last minute because the game intentionally wants to hurt you to teach you about the healing mechanic in the safe haven. So don't worry if you can't get out. You have to wait for a little bit before you do. On that door, there was a poster that said Tom the Poet. And there are clues all over this game that you need to read to pick up the thread of the story, and it might require multiple plays to kind of piece everything together. And as it says at the very opening of the game, from the Stephen King quote, not all of the questions will be answered. The questions and the mystery are what drive, the good story. So some of the stuff is just kind of, you're not going to get full clarity. You're not going to get full elucidation. And you just need to play and do the best that you can. So we need to go into the light, and it says right here that we're in a dream. Like the voice says, I entered your dream, so that kind of explains, perhaps where we are right now. And let's go. Now, on the minimap in the upper left, you see I have the red health radial, and there's also a kind of yellow dot telling me where to go. For my quest location. Here's the staircase, and I can run using L1, of course. Another checkpoint.
The hitchhiker has been taken over by the dark presence.
Yes.
You can't hurt him now. The darkness protects him from all harm. Only light can drive the darkness away and make him vulnerable again.
Okay.
Here, take the light.
So, I'll pick it up.
Turn your flashlight toward him and burn the darkness away.
So this is the number one thing you need to understand about the game. Because I neglected, on my playthrough, I didn't understand how important this was. I thought that the light burning the darkness away was only relevant if you didn't have a gun. And that once you got a gun, you only really used the light to kind of slow enemies down, and the bullets did the killing. But it's the opposite in Alan Wake. You have to kind of throw away all of your instincts of normal shooting games. The gun is not what you need first. It's kind of cleanup. So I'll show you. Let's just go ahead and burn the darkness away. And you see how the circle around this guy is getting smaller and smaller around the light? That's the darkness burning away. When it gets completely focused, it's gone. Now you can push L2 to speed up that process, but it drains. So you can use L2. Okay. You can use L2 to focus your flashlight, and this will speed up the process of burning the darkness away. But in the upper left, you'll see you have a flashlight gauge, which is your batteries can fill that up. And so it drains that rapidly. But if you're just aiming your flashlight at them and not focusing the beam, you are not rapidly draining your battery, and you can burn the darkness away. It's just much slower. So usually you want to focus, but it depends on how many batteries that you have. So we now have the dual means to defeat the Taken. So the Taken are enemies that have been absorbed or taken over by the darkness. And when they have the shadowy, shimmery darkness all around them, if you shoot at them, you're going to be wasting your bullets. It's going to take way too many bullets to kill them. You need to burn the darkness away first and then shoot them. So now this guy is still here. He's still evil, but he doesn't have the shimmery darkness. He's vulnerable, and we can shoot him with our revolver. So I'm going to aim with L2 and shoot with R2 and get it. So,
Good. You've done well. Remember what I've taught you. That is all. I will give you back your dream now.
Thanks, buddy. He's giving us back our dream.
Nightmare. A terrible darkness was taking over the world. The lighthouse was the last safe place on Earth.
Boosting the light blinds enemies and burns the darkness away faster. So you see, that's kind of what I mistook for what I was doing, which is just blinding enemies with the light. But no. That's 100% essential. You have to do that, all right? Now, the other thing that you always want to do in this game is reload after every encounter. You have a manually reloaded revolver. So there's nothing worse than running out of bullets and trying to load a 6-shooter shell by shell. It is the worst. So in the upper right, you see I have 36 bullets with my gun. Now, it is worth noting that you can point your gun more accurately by using L2, but as you see in the upper left, it does use my battery to do that. So you'll watch my battery gauge as I aim, as you see it depletes. So you kind of have to balance. You don't have to aim. You can just shoot. You see like where I'm pointing the flashlight with my, I'm aiming with the right stick, the flashlight, and if I just push R2, I will just shoot where the flashlight is. So I don't have to aim, but I like to aim. It just feels better, but you can do either one. Sometimes in quick situations, you don't have time to just aim. But usually if you aim like this, it'll not only help you target better, but it will also slow the enemies down. Now I'm going to push square to reload because I want a full gun at all times. Now you'll notice how if I aim, look at my flashlight meter in the upper left. If I let go, the flashlight will actually recharge on its own, so you don't have to use a battery. But if you need to use a battery to quickly replenish your flashlight bar, you can do that, and you push triangle, I believe, and they'll tell us about that in a second. And I have, you see below the flashlight gauge, you see it has a 2 with a lightning bolt. That means I have 2 batteries left to charge up my flashlight. And we've reached the checkpoint. And we're going to blow this guy away. Oh, he fell. Okay. Now, one thing you want to do also in Alan Wake is always look around to make sure there's no enemies creeping around behind you or from your flanks, because they love to do that. Yeah, like that. So, it's like, I don't know where he went, but he came up from behind me somehow. So, they tricked me. I'm just going to run. Oh, and I got hit. But watch this. I dodged this shot, and I run, and I'm in the light. You don't have to fight those guys. You can if you want, or you can get to the safe haven right here, and you see my health is completely restored, and the enemies are gone because they can't come into the light. So sometimes you can't make it to a safe haven, but most of the time you can, and I generally try to avoid fighting and run because Alan is not good at fighting, but sometimes it's unavoidable. So a lot of the time when you get into a safe haven or nearby, you will find one of these emergency boxes, these red boxes, and you can open them, and they contain all sorts of useful items. Flare gun, flare, there we go. So what they're telling you is that you can use the directional pad up to show you, kind of what weapons you have available. Now, up just selects, like, if you have a shotgun or something, but you can push left on the directional pad to select your flare gun. The weapon that you currently have selected is in the upper right, and if I aim it, you can see I have the flare gun. Now, whenever you want to use a new gun, like a flare gun or something, always make sure it's loaded. And you can tell it's loaded because there's a number 3, which is how many flares I have to shoot with this flare gun, and then to the right of it, there is a little flare kind of like shell icon that's white, and that means it's loaded. Now, if that were gray, then it would be not loaded, and you don't want to be in the situation where you're surrounded by bad guys and you have to load. So always make sure you're loaded up. Now, I can push right on the directional pad to switch over to the revolver and be ready to rock. Now, flares are a little bit different to use because what you do to use a flare is you hold R1, and that will make you hold the flare. You can also just push R1 to kind of set it down if you want to do that. And we will kind of look at using flares, but flares are extremely helpful. And the flare gun is one of your most powerful weapons. So we're going to go through here. Now I'm going to show you something. I'm going to hold R1 and just... Okay, never mind. Never mind. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use my flare gun. Okay. So we killed all of them with the flare gun right there. I thought I picked up regular flares. No. I just picked up bullets for the flare gun. Never mind. No R1 for us. Just flare gun shells. You see that the flare gun is like area of effect damage. Now they're right on me, so I'm just going to run to this light right here. Drop down. Bam.
I can keep this up.
Probably can. So this is our nightmare, and the darkness is coming, and we need to run away. And we're going to run right towards the lighthouse. So, in a situation like this, you just run. There's stuff that you need to dodge. If you die, don't worry, you'll just go back to the checkpoint. And you see how Alan is like super tired. Sometimes you can let go of L1 and then push it again, and he'll be fast. And then as he starts to hunch over and slow down, you got to give him a break, and then you can see when he starts to kind of stand back up again that you can run again with him. And we'll go right in through here to try to avoid being killed by, that swirling vortex. And let's go inside. He is here.
Alan, wake up. Shh, baby. Just another nightmare. Everything's fine. You dozed off.
Right. Anything more than dozed off would be news for everyone.
Cheer up, handsome. We're here.
Alright, so that was just a little nightmare. We're on a fantastic barge going to Bright Falls. Not Night Springs, but Bright Falls. Here we are. Ah, what a quaint seaside community, or lakeside community, I guess. So, one thing I want to talk to you about right away is, you notice how I use that flare gun in that combat. Another tendency of Resident Evil or games like that.
Let's act like we're on vacation. Go stand next to that old gentleman there. I want a shot of you with the town in the back.
She wants to take a picture of me. Okay.
Sure. I'll even give you a title for the shot. A city boy, moments before he got eaten by a bear.
All right. So, Alice, our wife, wants us to pose over there with the old guy by the railing. Now, let me just kind of finish my thought. I don't want her to interrupt again. This game gives you consumables that in Resident Evil I would sandbag for a boss, like a flare gun. I'd be like, okay, I don't want to use this on regular guys, I want to save this for a really difficult fight. What you want to do in this game is generally try to use those things. You don't want to be crazy and just use them all up when you don't need it, but don't be afraid to use them, because as you will see, the game will periodically just take your inventory away. So everything that you were saving does not carry over. Like everything I had in that dream, the flare gun, all the bullets for the revolver, all the batteries that I had, that stuff is all just gone. It's out of the world. So there was no sense in saving any of it. And this is another mentality you want to get in. Don't make the game harder for yourself than it needs to be by saving your consumables. If you get into a spot that's really hard, use your flares, use your flare gun, use your batteries, all of this stuff, okay? All right, let's go over here.
Alan, before he missed the shot.
All right.
Hi. Hello there. You picked a good time to visit our town. Deerfest is just 2 weeks away.
Deerfest, huh? Did you hear that, honey?
Deerfest.
You have a lovely wife, if you don't mind me saying. I'm Pat Maine, by the way. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, I'm Alan Wake.
I won't pretend I don't recognize a famous writer such as yourself, Mr. Wake. A pleasure. I'm an avid reader myself. I hope this isn't too presumptuous of me, but I'm the night host at the local radio station. Any chance I can get an interview?
Look, Mr. Maine, I'm on vacation. In fact, I'd appreciate it if we could keep my being here just between the two of us. I'm sure you understand.
Fair enough. You can trust me to be discreet. Not a hard man to track down if you change your mind, though. I hope you two have a lovely holiday.
Thanks, buddy. The paparazzi, my wife, and this radio man. Wonderful. So, really another great thing about Alan Wake is just the amazingly detailed and living world that you get to be a part of.
Very nice. I got a couple of really good ones. And I see you made a friend. That's cute.
Right. Yeah?
Hey, bestseller, how's my favorite writer? Are you there yet?
Barry. Yeah, we just got it.
Are the locals giving you trouble? Just say the word and I'll hop on a plane and come make sure that you're left alone, Al.
No, Barry, we're fine.
Great. Just want to make sure you can relax and recharge. So, how is the place? Has it gotten your creative juices flowing?
Barry, we're just settling in.
Okay, Al. I'll call back later to make sure you're doing okay. And you call me if there's a problem, okay? Okay. I'm just looking out for you, buddy. Talk to you later.
I love you too, Barry.
You know he's going to be calling you every 5 minutes.
Barry is Barry. I can always turn off the phone.
What did I tell you?
Text message from Barry. He says hi to you too.
Look at the non-smile from Alice
Alan, we're here.
about
Come on,
Barry.
let's get back to the car.
Not impressed. So, in this living, breathing world, you can really explore everything and check it out and say hi to this cool guy.
Damn yuppies.
What do you mean I'm a yuppie? Just because I'm extremely well-to-do and have a beautiful apartment in the city, I don't see what that.
As the last laugh, city
It,
Okay. Good day to you too.
Sir, are you talking to me? I couldn't see you there with all that camouflage. You blended right in. That's amazing. You fooled us. All right. And
Come on, Slowpoke. You get the full service here. I've made all the arrangements. I drive the car. I'll even carry the bags. All you have to do is drag your cute butt into the car and enjoy the ride.
whoa.
Yeah, sounds like you've got a lazy bastard for a husband.
Yeah, but I got a thing for him. Come on, you lazy bastard. Let's go.
Wow. She's really rolling out the red carpet. So we can have a lot of fun here. Let's leave the ferry. You can explore if you want, or you can just hop
At the
in.
local diner to get the cabin key from the landlord, a Mr. Carl Stuckey. He's waiting for us. I'll go fill her up while you get the key. I'll pick you up here in, say, 15 minutes.
Sure.
Alan, thank you for coming here with me.
I love you too. Go on. I'll promise to behave.
Mr. Carl Stuckey.
I'd forgotten there were still places like this. Towns where everybody knew everybody.
Welcome to the Oh Dear Diner.
Hi, I was wondering if you could help me. I'm looking for...
Mr. Wake. Alan Wake. Oh, God! I am your biggest fan. I know people say that all the time, but I really am.
I'm glad to hear that.
Rose.
Rose, I'm looking for Mr. Stuckey. Carl Stuckey?
Carl? Oh, of course, Mr. Wake. He must have gone to visit the restroom. He'll be back in a moment. I can't believe it. I've got all your books. I got the cutout from the bookstore when they took it out of the window.
And you keep it here. Well, okay. Good for you.
She's number one fan. There I am.
Try the coffee. Just don't blame me when you fall in love, because it'll break your heart when you have to leave.
Rusty here is no longer human. Nothing but black coffee under a thin layer of skin.
Poor
That
Rusty.
makes two of us.
All right. So now at this point in Alan Wake,
Staying long, Mr. Wake? I can't believe it. I'm having a conversation with Alan Wake.
yes, you are. I'm going to go over here now, Rose. You're scaring me. So you get to kind of.
Or is your wife with you? I can show you the town if you want. I get off work at
Oh
6.
my God.
Thanks, Rose. We'll be sure to keep that in mind.
So you can explore this game and get a bunch of the story, check things out, see your cutout.
Right. So much for a quiet vacation.
So much indeed. And this is kind of how Alan Wake works in places. There's exposition, there's storytelling, but after a bit, once we settle into the flow of the game, you're going to be doing just more kind of action. But there are nice moments of respite where you're exploring and looking around and you're not under threat. And this is one of those moments where we can just kind of figure things out and everything seems reasonable. So we've gotten to talk a lot about some elements of the game in terms of how to survive, how to fight, how to use the flashlight, ration our resources, or almost the opposite of that, or at least be not as cautious with our resources, how to always make sure you're reloading your weapons, use the checkpoints to your advantage, and have fun in Alan Wake, because trust me, this is a sensational game. I have a review I will put in the comments below, as well as my complete Let's Play of Alan Wake. If you want to see full gameplay of this from my first clear of the game, I hope you're finding this guide series to be useful and fun, and I will check you in the next one. Take care.